cloud. Okay. All righty. So everybody's here. I'm the chair, Lance Brown. Oh, Ginny's not here. Yeah, I was like, Ginny's usually right after me. Ginny McCabe is not here. She's had a family emergency, so I guess we are not 100% here. She's the vice chair. Lance, who will be probably changing this document as we go along here, is our secretary. Sergi is here, although I haven't heard her voice yet. Is our membership coordinator. Solomon is our publicity coordinator, and Susan, Ruth, and Nicole are at-large members. And we all do a little bit of everything. So you'll kind of see that and hear that as we go along here. The upcoming meeting dates, I cannot do any Wednesday in September. We can keep it at September 11th if somebody else wants to lead it. Usually that would be Ginny, and she's not here. So I can reach out to her later if you guys think that that's okay. I would not say, if we were doing our annual meeting in person, this would not happen. Right, we would just figure out another day to do it. But I know that Wednesdays are the best days for everybody here. And I just can't do, I just looked at my calendar and I cannot do any Wednesday. And if you want to know why, it's because my kids have soccer games every Wednesday. And that has been my, after my cancer, that's been my thing. I'm not missing a game. So I can't miss it. And I'm sorry about that, but Ginny could lead it. Or if you want to change it, you can let me know about that and I can work on that. What do you guys think?
I suggest we check with Ginny first, and if she's not available and nobody else can take it on, then we change it.
Okay. Okay. And it'll be, I did look at some of the dates available, and there are, like, I looked at the Tuesday before, but there's there's lots of meetings scheduled on the Zoom. So I would have to go around that, but I'll do that if she's not available too. Oh, I don't have October on there. What happened? So October is going to be probably October 9th or 16th. I'm just going to write it in here. I don't know if I don't remember what I scheduled that for. I'm sure it's on the Zoom, but I don't remember. And then November 13th and December 18th. So in that time in November, for all of us to be there. Actually, for Will and Angel, we have our annual elections for this board are right before Thanksgiving every year. So we do it, we actually announce the who's on the board the Wednesday before Thanksgiving. So the 2 weeks leading up to that is the voting, or actually it's like 10 days. And then the week before that is declaring candidacy and kind of getting to know everybody. So just put that in your head. You don't have to, that's fine if you're just new at freelancing. We like fresh blood. And we'd love to have new people on the board. So memberships, Sergi, I was not at the last meeting, so I had to read through Lance's, and I didn't get to watch it, so I had to read through Lance's minutes. I saw the membership was 494. It's down a little bit since our April count. What's happening now with that, Sergi?
Hi, just want to let you know, guys, I'm not feeling too well, so excuse me. I didn't want to miss this meeting.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, you're welcome, guys. So I reached out to Crystal. She's awesome. She usually gets back to me right away. I haven't heard from her, and it was just this week. So I'm guessing she's swamped with annual report time. This is around the time everyone submits their annual reports. So I don't have a number for this month. But yes, last month we were down to 494, which was 8 down from the previous month, which was 502. So we were working also on cleaning up the roles with the MailChimp folks that are getting the email blast, who aren't necessarily members with the freelance community. That was one of the things I was working on. So don't have much to report this time, but like I said, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss this meeting. So
okay, and I appreciate you being here. Maybe we have the same thing. I'm not feeling great either. So yeah, so that number, I know we've lost a few members, but I just want to, make sure that we all still feel really good about that 500.
Exactly. Right.
Um, That's still a really big number. It is, I do think that is it Chicago that has a little bit more than 500, but I think we're number 2 as far as chapters, and I know we're not a chapter, but chapters and groups in SPJ. I
No,
thought it was.
I cringed really hard when I saw that number. So I'm hoping that it's just a thing, because I know that some members shift in and out depending on the renewal cycle. That's why I was really interested in this month's number. So hopefully I could get something from her within the next few days. I sent her a follow-up email. As far as I checked, I didn't get something from her. Like I said, maybe it's annual report time with different chapters. So maybe that's something, because like I said, she's usually phenomenal. She gets back to you right away. So hopefully
Okay, okay,
hopefully I can get something in regards to that.
okay. Um, yeah, and I know that you work on membership a lot, so I know that that can get discouraging. I send out a newsletter to 65,000 people twice a week. And when
Right.
my open rates, Lance and I have talked about this before, and I watch the open rates and I'm like, ugh, why are only 30% opening this? Like, what did I do wrong? So I know you can
Right.
get in it, but like just from us, 500 is a great number. 494 is amazing. I'm super, super excited that we have that many people in this community. So I'm happy. I actually did not think that there would be guests here, and I put the password in here, but it's 2-step verification on this. I don't think that Angel and Will, I mean, who knows? Um, would try to break into our email. I probably shouldn't have done that. But you can't get in anyway without a verification code from a phone number. We won't talk too much about that part of it. Hillary and I are going to help. Hillary's our old chair from 2 years ago. Hillary is sort of the original founder of that email, and she, I think, has to add, or she can help me add somebody to it. But my whole point in putting this on here is that I would like to have a system to answer emails in a timely manner. I say I'm going to do it, and then I do it, and then I forget for 2 weeks, or I, do it all in one day and then think, okay, I did it. And then I miss the next 10 days worth of emails because I had just done it. And I think it would be easier to check it every other day or so if we only had a month or so to do it, and then we could pass it off to somebody else on the board. But doing that 12 months a year, with all the other stuff I have going, I really just forget. Like, to be honest, it's not because I can't carve out the minutes. I forget to do it, and I wonder if we can come up with a better system
I think
where,
it would make sense, Stacy, for those who are willing to do it, to maybe each have a month at a time to be the person who responds to messages. I just would need to have somebody walk me through how to get access
yeah,
the
well,
questions.
and that's what I'm talking about with that email and that password. Like, we'll have to set your phone number up in there so that you can enter a code to get in. But that's what I have that was my idea, was to have people do it for 1 month. So if you scroll down there, the September, October, November, December, if somebody wants to volunteer for those months now, it's not hard to do. When we have webinars, it gets to be a little bit more, but Susan, can you jump in here? Susan just made that infinitely easier. With the regards to the webinar request. When we had like the AI, we had a lot of people sign up to get the Zoom for the sign up for the webinar on AI. And just going in there and responding to each one of them with it's really just copy and paste the link and how are you, thanks for joining. But that's a lot when you've got like 90 people responding. So Susan just changed this for us, didn't you? I think it has to be done with every webinar, right, Susan?
I think so. You just have to click, you have to click a box. I don't remember which box it was, but it's
Okay.
easy. You will recognize it when you see the box.
Okay, so when you're setting up the webinar, and sometimes you'll be running a webinar and you might not be the one setting it up. I'm the one setting it up. It just depends if we have the webinar scheduled, but not the person in charge of it yet. I think that's actually happened with the December one. So I can check that. So is it just it's a registration? Is that what it is? Requiring registration?
Yeah, hang on one second. I've got to pick up food. Hold on.
And are we talking about, two separate things, answering questions in general and handling webinar registration, or
Yeah,
is this the
yeah,
same thing?
it is two separate, well, it's the same thing because if someone sets up a webinar but does not click the box that says we'd like, that we require registration, which we have not done until this month. That's not happened at all in any webinar. So right now, anybody requesting to come to a webinar, I have to go in, copy and paste the event invitation from Zoom, like all the details, go to the emails and say, hi Angel, hi Will, thanks for RSVPing. Here are the Zoom details to get into, thanks for joining us. And I send that times 50 or 60
But
or
you said
70.
Susan has changed that.
Susan has discovered that we can click on a box while we're setting up the webinar in Zoom.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done this, Ruth, if you haven't set up
And
the webinar, I'm not sure you would know this, what we're talking about, but there's a box that you can check that says require registration. And
Yeah,
that apparently, when we click that, that sends out an automatic link to the details.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and the other thing that I have done for this, so we're still getting emails. I hope you can hear me because my phone is on my lap.
Yeah.
We're still getting emails, but because I had started that way, and so it's like what I'm doing with the emails is saying it's just I have something in there that just like says, hey, you can register online at this Zoom link, and I just send them the link. And then the other thing that I also checked that you need to check if you're going in to set up a webinar, or you don't need to, it's up to you, is I checked that to send a reminder 1 hour before and 1 day before. You can also do a week before, you can do all three, but I just did 1 day and 1 hour.
That should be sufficient.
Yeah,
Oh,
that
nice.
it sends
Okay.
out the reminder like, hey, there's this, webinar that you signed up for that's coming up in an hour.
Perfect.
The other thing that I didn't click that we can go in and do is to send an email afterward. And I was thinking it could be like an email saying, hey, here's how you sign up for the SPJ freelance community. If you don't want to do that and you thought the webinar was great, feel free to make a donation to our SPJ freelance fund. Here's a link. Or something like that. Or if you're sending a link to everybody, you can do it that way, but that also is a separate box that you would click and then you create whatever
okay.
you're going to send out. I
Okay.
did not do that on this one because I'm like, I don't know what we're doing or what you want. So, but we can always go in and do that.
Well, with the webinars that are scheduled right now, just to make it easy for everybody here right now, I'm going to go in, let me make a note so I don't forget. So I say things when I forget a minute later. I'm going to go change the webinars that we have, you've got for August. And I'm going to change hold on, what are the webinars? Oh, October 30th. Okay. So there's not one for
30th and
November. There's
December
not one for
11 and 18.
September. So I'm going to change October 30th, and then I don't know if I've got December on there or not yet, but I will click that. So what that's going to do, so for people who are, here it is. So for people who are going to hopefully right now volunteer to answer the emails in September, October, November, and December, one person per each thing per month. I will go in and add this so that when somebody's requesting the link to the webinar, that email is going to be sent automatically. You don't have to do that. So all you're going to have to do is go in there and check the email every other day, every 3 days or so. I do not do it that much. I should, but again, it's 365 days a year and I forget. And so, I'm going to go in every couple of, or you're supposed to go in every couple of days, and someone might say like Will and Angel, hey, can I come to your next board meeting? And then you're going to send them the link to the board meeting. Or we get all sorts of requests, weird, sometimes they're weird, like, and I just forward it to Crystal at headquarters if it's something like that. If you're not sure what to do, just forward it to me.
So
And
one thing, so Stacy, that I went in, I was the one who went in and answered emails requesting link to the next webinar. And then I just left everything else.
Yeah, I saw that today. I saw it today. and said, someone's been busy. So I knew that, I assumed it was you, Susan.
Yeah, I left stuff that wasn't related to that. But I just wanted to point out, I also went into our junk mailbox and found that there were at least 2 emails in there asking for a link to the webinar. So
Oh,
I don't know
wow.
how many.
Oh, I never checked that. Okay.
Yeah, so that's another downfall of using that email system. I don't know how many from
Okay.
previous webinars went to junk mail.
Okay, so we'll have to check that too. So that's good to know. So basically you're going in there and anything that is not, you can tell if the email's been read or not. We need you to respond to it. If you open it, let's say you're doing October and it's October 30th and you're almost done and you open it and you're like, this is too complicated. Someone can handle this in November. You've already opened it, so we're going to assume that you've responded to it. So do not open it and not respond to it. If you open it, you have to respond to it. If you cannot respond to it, forward it to me and I will. So,
Or you could just you can open it and then just mark it as unread.
yeah, just make sure you do that because I've run into that several times where I go into something and I was like, oh, what's this? And I was like, oh, no one responded. And I then do it. That doesn't happen as much anymore, but I think I talked about this one other time a few months ago. And I don't see that happening as much anymore. So anyway, so who wants to do September?
I
Anybody?
could do October.
Yay, Ruth. Thank you for volunteering. I appreciate
I'll go
it.
ahead and volunteer for September then.
Oh, then I'll do
Alright.
November.
You guys are amazing. Anybody want to do December?
I'll do December. I'll do December.
Yeah. Okay, and then please
I got to start
know-
pulling my weight anyway. So
Well, that wasn't
And then January, are we doing January next? I can do January. I don't know if we're.
Oh, hey, listen. Well, I'm not going to do it yet because we're going to have an election before then.
Okay.
So we'll have a different board. Maybe we'll have the exact same board. But I won't do anything beyond December yet. But thank you,
But,
Sergi.
You're welcome.
Stacy. I think that was Angel who.
Yeah, it was me.
volunteered for September.
Oh, okay. Angel, amazing that you want to volunteer. Okay, listen, you have to run for a board position and then we'll add you to this. So this
I didn't know
right
that.
this right here is just because it's in an email account. It's actually sent with my name, the chair's name, whoever the chair is at the time. That is a board member only, but there's lots of other volunteer positions that we'll be talking about very soon in another couple of minutes. So Lance, I feel like is like, ooh, Lance is always looking for volunteer.
Lance, was that your way of saying you didn't want to do September and that
No.
wasn't you?
No, I was just trying
Oh.
to clear up the confusion.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I could do September, but I'm gonna be gone.
I was gonna
for,
offer
there's
if you didn't want to,
there's
Lance.
like a week there that I'm gonna be gone.
I
No,
had
I
a
think it's fine.
question
I think-
because I couldn't
Yeah, I
hear.
think Lance is okay. Go ahead, Solomon.
My hearing was going in and out. So how often do you want us to check this? Like twice a week?
Listen, sometimes
Uh,
I do it once every 2 weeks, and sometimes I do it, especially before a webinar, I'll do it every day. I can't, I just want to make sure that we don't go till September 30th and not check it, right? So once a week would be great if you can. If you want to check it every day, if you want to check it every other day, I would, maybe you do, maybe, I don't know what your routine is, but if you have a routine where you check all your emails, I have 2 or 3 different emails. I check them all in the morning at like 7:30 just to see what's in my plate for my different jobs. So you may just add that in there.
Okay, that's fine because I'll probably do it like 2 times a week. And then my other question was like,
you might only get 3 emails, especially like Lance might not have any,
Let him-
really. He might
Let him
just get a
finish.
couple.
He had some more to say.
I hear there's some stuff going on in the background there that I can hear.
it's probably me because the library is closing and they're kicking us out. But
Oh,
I was
okay.
gonna say, so you want me to kind of make an executive decision about who to send the email to? So like if they're asking for something that the president needs to answer, I definitely would probably forward the email to you or let you know, or do we try to keep it inside of the email account and just tell you? Like,
Yeah,
is it
you
okay
can
to just forward
either
it?
way. Yep, either way, you can just tell
Because
me,
I'd
you know, how
forward it
much.
to you.
Yeah, or you can just forward it to my Gmail account. It's, we don't get a lot of emails that are difficult to answer. It's usually people just asking to come to a meeting. Sometimes people are asking about their membership. And
Okay,
that,
okay.
sometimes I'll ask Sergi and sometimes I send it to Crystal because I don't have any, I don't know.
Stacy?
Okay.
Yeah.
Stacy, what do you need to know for the access, for the two-step access?
I do not know for sure yet. I have to get with Hillary, I think, on that. So
You
I
have
think
my
I just
phone
need a
number
phone.
in case that's all you need, right?
I just need a phone number, yeah, and I think I don't know if I can add it because I was added later as like an additional user. I'm not the founder, so I think Hillary actually has to add it, but I got to talk to her about that because I don't know the details yet.
Okay.
So I will need, go ahead.
I was gonna ask, what if you can you do a Google phone number? Because then that's a phone number that everybody can have access to. It's not attached to one person's number and it's free.
Well, if you think that I have the technical prowess to do that, you're wrong, but someone might be able to do that.
I just
Hazel
assume
should be
not
able to help as
yet
well, because I
another-
think Hazel was the one who added me.
Hazel does. Yeah, that makes sense. Hazel or Hillary. Yeah, okay. Who are these numbers? Who's the 5-6 and the 3-5? Who ends in those? Susan's got to be one of them.
I'm at 2-5.
Oh, okay. I think Ginny is one of them too, because Ginny has done this before where she's gone in and answered emails. So, and she's not here. So, all right, well, we'll get your phone numbers added. We'll get everybody's phone numbers added. So actually, if you guys want to send me the phone number that you would use, I guess your cell phone number, I don't have everybody's number, I don't think. And I'd like to make sure it's up to date.
Does it have to be a cell phone number? I'd rather use my landline.
It does because it's a two-factor authentication. So what's going to happen is
Oh, it
it's
sends
going
a-
to send
okay.
a number. Yep, it's going to send a number and you're going to have to enter a code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it will have to be that. All right, great. Thank you. So Lance and Ruth, I guess, well, everybody, if you can all just send me that number, I'll get you all added.
Yeah,
but Lance
I
is the
think
most-
what I did, I think it was with Hillary. I was like on text with her while I signed on, and then she sent me the number to put in,
Okay. Yeah.
like the code.
And so every
That was
time
a
you
little
add,
wonky.
when you do it now, when you sign in now, do you have to do that still, or was that just a one-time thing?
That was a one-time thing. I don't know if I like
Okay.
left the country and came back, or if I like left the country and tried to log in a different area.
Okay.
But because I'm at home when I'm on there,
Yeah.
I've never had a problem.
Okay. So I think it will just be a one-time thing, Ruth, where you'll just have to do that once and then I never have to do it anymore because I just open up the email and I'm just already in it because it remembers my computer. So, okay. So moving on to the mini grant proposal. Hazel and Susan and I are on this, task force. I don't know what to call it. But that was approved. I don't know if you remember, but that was the emailed vote that we all sent out and everybody said yes. Nicole had some great questions with it. I think that Hazel addressed those. And we have to, now the next step is for Hazel, Susan and I to schedule a time to meet,
And
which is.
Angel and Will, when we talk about Hazel, we're referring to Hazel Becker, who's one of our founding members and was doing all of our resources for pitching and leads and so forth. And she's no longer on the board, but she's still very active. She's retired professionally, but she's still pitching in when we need her.
But she would
Go
like to
50.
stop doing that. So if any, that's
Yeah,
where we
that's
could
a
use volunteers. So
that's a big thing. Hazel is done. She's not here, so I'm not going to talk too much about it, but she's going to be done. Certainly after the next election, she might go to November, but she can't do this anymore. So the biggest parts the biggest need for a volunteer is for the two things that she does by herself is the resources. I'll just explain it really quickly for Angel and Will. I won't go too much into it because Hazel, this is something that you'd have to have a meeting with Hazel about. But we do a guide for freelancers where it includes more than 500. It's like 520, 530 now, 530 or so publications around the world that hire freelancers. We list them alphabetically. You can sort, it's in an Airtable, so you can sort it by genre. You can sort it by, okay, I want to write about sailing, or I love boxing, so I want to write an article about boxing. You can put that in there and see what publications come up that would be appropriate for you to pitch to. These publications also have the pay rate, who to pitch to, what sort of stories they're looking for. So that is a massive database. As you can imagine, that needs to be updated frequently because pay rates change and they might not be accepting, submissions anymore. They might not be taking stories from freelancers anymore. They might have closed. They might have shut down. That happens a lot these days. So it's sort of just a rolling, we're trying to keep it as updated as possible. And so you'd go in there, and Hazel will explain it better, but you'd go in there and basically just go check Cosmopolitan. What are they doing? Are they still accepting submissions? What stories are they looking for? And you kind of have to dig around and find that information. So that's one database. The other database is doesn't change. The thing that changes is on this one is the date. And that's sometimes that's the only thing that changes, but it is contests, fellowships, things like grants, things like that freelancers can apply for. And that is a rolling deadline. And we send those out in our newsletter. I don't know if you get our newsletter. I hope you do. But if you've seen that in our newsletter, here's 4 or 5 new grants or fellowships or something. Here's the deadlines that are upcoming. Our freelance community members find that incredibly valuable. So we'd like to keep that going, but right now Hazel runs that as well as the publications database on her own. It does take some work, probably an hour a week. I would think you wouldn't take both of those databases. We'd hopefully want to volunteer for each one of them. So for the one with the contests and the fellowships and the grants, that one, the dates change every year, right? You'd love for them to stay the same, but they don't. Like it might be the 3rd Monday and whatever. So you got to change the date. So that is the biggest thing to update in that database. Those are, if you are a freelancer starting out, I can't think of a better resource for you to have access to than those two things. It is the Bible of freelance. And that's probably not the right thing to say, but it is this is the mother lode, right? Of, oh, this is the kind of story. There's going to be publications in there that you've never heard of. I promise you, there's still publications that I've never heard of in there that are taking freelance work and paying for it. So anyway, that's that. And Hazel would love to bring somebody on. I would help her out with this, with training you. We would meet together on a Zoom call and she could show you, take you through it. I've done this already, so I know how to do it, but I really need her to sort of spearhead that because I don't know as much as she does about it. So I'm going to leave that I'm going to just plant that seed. Hopefully I planted it and I'm watering it and it's starting to grow already. So that's that. And then, I'm going to move on from the mini grant proposal because we may need to meet before we have an update for you guys. Lance has an update on the newsletter. Can you share that, Lance?
Yeah, so I decided that I needed a little break, an extended break, and decided to put out a a call on the top of the newsletter for volunteers. I was thinking I would take it over or keep doing it for the next 2 months or so while we look for volunteers. But we got an immediate response from 2 people. So we've got one of them who's just taken over. Monday was his first newsletter on his own. That was Mike McKibben, who's been active on the Facebook and active with you guys for about 6 years. And then we had James May, who is a student journalist who was like I was, just kind of starting out. So we have him now doing the social media because Serhi also decided to step away from his role. So,
okay. Yeah.
but I think it's good because, like we said, with Hazel not doing as much anymore, and with a lot of the responsibilities falling on less people, it makes sense to train more people up. So that way,
Yeah.
if we have to call on me or someone else who's done the newsletter before, we have people in reserve and we're not just
Yeah.
stuck.
And I really appreciate you giving the 2-month notice. I am so happy that we found someone so quickly, that you found someone so quickly. It's great. If you did not notice a difference in the newsletter, then yay, that was the intent. So if it looked just the same as it always does, then perfect. So we're good on that front. We before Lance, we were having some difficulty finding a newsletter editor, and when he said he was leaving, I fully support that. I fully support this is a volunteer organization. Nobody's getting paid for this, and we all have big lives outside of it. So I'm just really glad the way it's worked out that we have a new editor. It's also great for, we can come up with, especially for the database volunteers, I think we need to come up with a title for that, because I think it's good to put on your social media, LinkedIn, your resume, that you've got that. I think we started calling Lance the editor, but I don't think that people before had that title. But that is what they're doing. So we'll figure out a good title for that too, so that you can have that kind of benefit for volunteering. Okay. The On Your Own guide, we could talk about it forever. It's 7:45 and I want to get through the rest of it. I'm actually going to table that because I don't think that we've all gotten in there to make our changes to that. So if you,
Could those who've made their changes let me know? Because I'm the one who's gonna handle pulling it all together, and I need to know who's already done their bit.
anyone?
You don't have to tell me now. You can let me know by email.
I
Okay.
did all my chapters.
Excellent, Lance.
Send me an email message if you would.
Okay.
Me being Ruth,
Lance,
and my email is ruth@writerruth.com.
Okay.
Lance, did you go through just those first 5 or did you go through the whole thing?
Just the first 5.
Okay, so what we had talked about before, and I might not have made it clear, is we were gonna start with those 5 and then keep going through so that we all have eyes on all of it. And I think because I saw that you guys had said at this last meeting that we thought we were gonna try to push this through at the August. I was like, there's no way people will get this done in August. So we actually want people to go through every one of the chapters. We were just gonna have you start with those, so that we're not all starting in the same place. I can resend that email with the breakdown. I'm not sure if people need it.
I could use it.
Okay, okay.
Because I will have a block of time to read stuff in the next 2 weeks, and I can probably read all the way through it. I've been trying to read through it anyway, but I wasn't sure if I
Yeah,
should make.
and at this point, it really is just making sure that we have stuff that is updated, that is current, that is talking about artificial intelligence. It's talking about the state of freelancing the world today, right? So it's not, I mean, Ruth has done a lot of this work with, we're not, certainly you can go through and if you catch a mistake grammatically, great. But it's more about what can we add to this? What do we need to add to this?
It's actually mostly about checking links as well.
Oh, yeah, and checking, thank you, Ruth. Yeah, checking the links also, because there's been links in there for years, and are they relevant? Do they work? Are they active?
Oh, okay.
That kind of thing. And then adding links. If you know that there's something on Pointer that, Pointer Institute that's amazing on AI, let's put it in there, so things like that we can sort of add to it. And then at the very end, when we kind of all add our little things to it, we'll take a whole nother look at it, probably just a couple of us, rather than asking. I'm so sorry
I
about
think
my dog.
that's where I step in. I don't think it'll need more than the one person.
No,
Well,
yeah, I know. I just mean, for the, making sure that we don't have, I would like more than one set of eyes on the very end, because if somebody's added a link that is, oh, this could, I don't want to say competitor, but like, let's say we've got like the ONA, a link from ONA in there or something, we got to talk about, do we want a link from ONA? So somebody might have added a link that looks good that maybe we need to discuss, should this be in there? That it's really just about, I would think, the links at that point. So just kind of having
Okay.
an exercise once we're all done adding and talking about it. So I just think it needs to just keep going. Upcoming webinars, Susan's working on podcasting. Nicole, did you say you're going to do the tech support? Did I get that right?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that.
Awesome. Okay. So basically that's just to, say, hey, there's making sure people can get in. There's no technical glitches. And then also, helping Susan, helping moderate the questions that are coming in. Sorry, not Susan, helping the people moderate the questions. So if someone's asked a question, you can interject. Did you do the AI one? I mean, were you there for the AI?
I wasn't for the AI, but I helped out with the tax one, I think last December.
Okay, so perfect. You've done it before, so I don't even need to. Yeah, perfect. Okay.
Yeah, and just on that, Hazel is sending out for me the email to the guest tomorrow.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up a little
So
bit. I
she's
didn't hear
already
that.
taken. Hazel is sending out the email to the guests tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Let me try to mute.
Okay, I had a question about that real quick. I don't want to suck up all your time. Did you had enough guests? Because I know you said that you were concerned that some hadn't confirmed.
There's one that she pretty much said like, sure, I'll do it. Just send me a link and I'll be there. And then hasn't responded to anything since. So, but I do have, so I'm assuming she'll show up. If she doesn't, I have 2 people, so it's fine.
Was it Mallory? Was she busy or did
No,
Mallory confirm? Because I have
totally
her.
fine. Yeah, no,
Okay.
she's totally fine. And then I have another
Yeah,
guy.
that sounds right. She's usually.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
Okay, so you have enough. Okay, because I was going to try and suggest somebody. Okay, you're good then.
Yeah, I think
Sounds
we'll be
good.
fine. I'm assuming that the person who said they would show up will show. So, and if not, we still have 2. So I think it'll be fine.
Sounds good. Okay.
Alrighty. Then we have the October 30th one that's going to be organized by Ruth. I think you're all set with that, Ruth, right?
Yeah, I just updated the document. My colleague Benny Curry in Chicago is going to be the primary speaker, and I may also include one of my clients who's the head of something called the Georgetown University Center for Retirement Initiatives. And she works with helping states set up retirement programs for people whose employers don't offer them. And some of those are tailored toward self-employed people as well as people who work at small businesses.
Great.
So I'm just waiting to hear back from her on whether she's comfortable with this kind of audience.
Okay, perfect. And so you'll moderate that. You'll introduce each one of them, and then they'll
And
just
I'll
kind of go.
provide the write-up and all of that. The
Perfect.
only thing I would need is somebody like Nicole or whoever to do the tech side.
Oh, right. Yeah, we need a tech person for that. If anybody, we can also figure that out when we get closer to the date.
Yeah.
But if anybody right now says, oh yeah, if you want to volunteer now, feel free, but we will make that a priority for the September meeting.
I tentatively could, and I feel like that's my contribution, considering that I haven't organized a webinar for this year, but definitely
Okay.
am.
Yeah.
That would be great.
And yeah, that'd be great. And we haven't really gone through to talk to you about, we should do that, Nicole. You and I should have a little powwow about that, because I know you asked about what are the steps involved, and we said we'd talk and then we didn't.
That's okay.
Um,
The only thing is I may be traveling that day, or it's right around the same time as the fall College Media Association and Associated Collegiate Press conference that I may be speaking at in New Orleans.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Well, someone can step in. I can do it too. We can worry about that when we get a little bit closer, but right now we'll keep you on there if that's if you're up for it. I wasn't at the last meeting, but I saw the notes that Ruth, I guess it was inferred that Ruth was going to be doing both of these, but I never had Ruth down as this. She had mentioned that she had resources, so I put it in just so I wouldn't forget. But she has resources for the taxes one, but she was not going to moderate that one because of course we're not going to ask her to do it 2 months in a row or 2 times in a row.
I can if you need me to. I don't mind.
Okay, but
Well, I can December 11th or 18th, I can check the calendar and see which one works. Because
Okay.
that's just before my finals. I think I have a week. And again, I got to do some stuff. So that would be some stuff for me to do.
And really what it will involve, Solomon, is getting the expert or experts, right? Like we might only need one for that, right? We only had one for the artificial intelligence. I think it would be fine just to find one expert. You want somebody who can really talk to journalists about this, make sure it's taxes for journalists. If you found one today, half your job is already done, so.
Well, I have
and if anybody
someone-
else, go ahead, Solomon.
I have an organization in mind because I just came back from the IRE and I met a bunch of people that do financial investigative stuff and they talk about taxes. I can call them and ask them. Are we okay with using the resources of another org?
Well,
Like if I call another organization and they say, okay, our organization does this?
we
Would
want
you
it
rather
to be,
I stick to individuals?
we really want it to be an accountant for sure. We need it to be somebody who, so it's not, this is going to be a little bit different than one of our normal webinars, because they're not going to be a journalist and then also a specialist in podcasting, let's say. We want an accountant. So we really want an accountant who's very comfortable talking in front of people and has done this kind of thing before. So that's what we're looking for. Last year we used Hazel's personal accountant, who has been doing her freelance taxes for years. So that's what we're looking for with this.
Solomon, I'll send you my
Okay.
resource notes in the next day or so.
Okay. That sounds good.
So see what you come up with,
I'll-
Solomon, and then we can talk about this again in September. We don't have to have this person nailed down until mid-November at the earliest, really. So
I think the date at this stage, the date is the more important.
yeah, we are going to try to do December 11th because the 18th gets too close to Christmas. Although October 30th is really close to Election Day. But I don't want to change that now. But well, hopefully we'll get people. So I'm really sorry about my dog barking. I'm alone and I can't, she has dementia and I'm really sorry. I put her in a closed room. So if you can hear it, I apologize. Okay, so
I am
that's
not
great.
offended by your dog's barking.
Thank you. I'm sorry about it. So Solomon, thank you for that. I really appreciate that. Do we want to talk about these right now? We only have a couple minutes left. I just want to look down the webinar recordings. I don't think we need to go through, actually, we probably should do that. So I think we're good on the webinar stuff. I don't think anything's urgent on that. I'm going to throw it out there. We have elections. We don't have to talk about it right now, but elections happen the second week of November. As I mentioned before, if you are not going to run again, if you want to let us know, if you know now that you don't want to, if that you're done with, you'd want to step away from the board responsibilities, letting us know now would be great, just so we can sort of reach out to other people. I would love to see it contested again, the contested elections again. So Will and Angel, you're here. If you're interested in running, if you're not quite sure about what position to do, you could run for an at-large member. You could actually, if you want to send me an email, if that is something that's interested, if interests you, you can send me an email to that freelance community email, and I can send you the sort of the write-up of what each of those positions does. That's probably a good place to start. Or if you would rather just say, no, I don't want to be on the board, or as far as an actual board member, but I want to be one of these volunteer positions, you can also do that. And we invite you always to come to the meetings, especially if you are volunteering for one of our positions, like the database coordinators. We don't, some of these, like Mike McKibben, the new newsletter editor, and Janelle, who does the job, she sends in the jobs every week. That's not required that you come, it's not really required that anybody, if you miss board meetings, you miss board meetings, that's okay. But you're always invited, you're always welcome to, even if you're don't hold a board position. So just want to throw that out there. Okay, there was a little bit of conversation that of course I missed because I wasn't there, but talking about the webinars being open to everybody. And I think that you guys said you weren't ready to say who it's open to yet. Is that right? You were going to think about it a little bit more about the recordings being open to, my vote was that the recordings should only be open to the SPJ freelance community members. But then I think that you guys, that was my vote, but then your vote was that it should be open to all SPJ members. Am I understanding that correctly from Lance's notes?
I think that's kind of where we were getting at. Because the thing was for me, like, and then from what I remember was, one, it's difficult to separate out the community. There might be some issues with that. And then two, like we wanted it to be open because then it can invite other people that are in SPJ to freelance if they have that. So that was kind of that.
I had disagreed. And I think I was kind of in the minority. One of my biggest things, just in general, in terms of membership, I always like to answer the question, what do I get as a member? Why should I be an SPJ member? Why should I be part of the freelance community? And I like to have ready answers for that. So in this instance, I agreed with Stacy's assertion, if I'm understanding correctly. I think it's just one more thing that we can say, hey, this is what we offer as a community. I mean, I understand the logistics, and probably that's something that can be discussed. I think there was a discussion about, well, how can we give it to this group and not give it to that group? And I think that's, like I said, something that can be discussed, but I think it's good, in my opinion, to say, hey, we offer this exclusively for SPJ freelance. And I think there was some discussion about whether it would actually be exclusive, but I mean, it's not like we're going to hunt people down and, go in their emails and say, did you send this link out or not? It's going to happen. Things happen all the time in terms of just access, but and I don't think that's necessarily something that we can control, but I just think it's a perk, so to speak, to say, hey, we offer this, and and people can say, okay, this is what we point to. So that was just my 2 cents. So I think I was in the minority in that, I believe. I'm not sure if what folks think about.
Yeah, and I wonder if this needs to be something that we actually have a vote on. And I'm not sure
Oh.
today is the day to do it because it's 8:02. But I still think that we should not just give it out to everybody. I agree with Sergi in that. I just had the Midwest Writers Conference I signed up for virtually. I got all access to all the recordings because I paid for it and got it. And they actually only give me access till December 1st. I have to watch them all by December 1st. So I do think that this is how other organizations would do it, that you wouldn't, unless you're a member, you're not, I mean, and nobody's paying for it, that you don't get it. I still think that, I respect what everybody else wants to do. And if I'm outvoted, I'm outvoted, but.
My main,
You weren't
Oh.
in the I was gonna say you weren't in the minority with that. I agree with that assessment that anybody can, since we put it on the SPJ calendar, anybody member or not could sign up to attend while it's happening, but be able to like reference back to it, or to watch it, in case you miss it. That seems like a service. It's like in businesses that would be like a service that's upcharged, and so since we don't charge dues as a community, it makes sense to just make that a community requirement, is my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, I agree
I
with
just have
that.
2 questions about that. I have 2 questions. So like, the first one, because we put them on, the Google video thing, right? When we're done.
Yeah.
Why am
You-
I forgetting
Bill-
YouTube? How did I forget
Yeah,
the name of
Billy
YouTube?
does. Billy puts it on YouTube. Yeah.
Okay, because that was my main concern was like, how would we constrain that? Is it possible without causing too much problems? So we put it on YouTube, okay, because we can control that, right? I'm not familiar with the access to YouTube, but do you have like a
Well,
following for YouTube
that's
where
a
you
good
control it?
question. Yeah, that's a good question, actually. I don't know if it just lives there and I don't know if anybody can just search and find it. I don't know. Actually, I know that we just haven't, because we do it with board meetings, and access that and watch them. But I didn't actually really think about who is that restricted access for the webinars. I mean, we want them to live there, but
I know
who gets the links?
I know that you can make YouTube private and then like decide who gets to have links to it. So that might be a way to do it. And then my other
Yeah, and
question is there a way? Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
My other question was, is there a way to link joining the community with going to a seminar? Like we register for it, right? I'm not sure, but we're registering through Zoom, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's no way to really like say, hey, before you join, here's the community, join the community, and then here's the link, or here's the link and the community, join both at the same time.
There may be, but I'm not sure that is something that um
Would be
we've
in our ability to do.
we've looked into. I do think we should, and I forgot to do this really when I was moderating the AI webinar. We really should have the moderator for each one of the webinars say, and we should have a screen that we put up that says, please join the freelance community, and you'll get the newsletter, and every Monday you'll be made aware of these webinars. We do roughly 6 a year, sometimes more.
There could be a slide that we keep on hand for every event.
Yep.
Oh,
And
that's a
I
good
can make
idea,
that
yeah.
for you if you want me to.
yeah, that would be great. And then we can even have that as because it is a little bit awkward too, when you're kind of waiting to start. We could actually have that be the slide that we share, like the screen share at the beginning of the session, right? While we're waiting, because some people come in a little bit, a minute early, and you kind of wait a little bit before you start. In those 3 or 4 minutes, to have that screen share up while people are waiting, that would be great. I like that a lot,
Yeah,
actually.
that would be really good too, because you can turn that
Yeah.
into a graphic and then send it out and you send the invitation for the.
Well, actually, yeah, actually, Solomon, you're good at that, and that is the publicity coordinator. Do you wanna come up with a graphic for that?
Yes.
And then I don't know if, I'm not gonna ask you to do it before Susan's, because it's in 7 days. But if we have it for
But
the
before the
October
next
one,
one would be great.
yeah, that would be great.
And
Yeah, I
before I
just have
forget-
to, somebody would have to. Go ahead. I have
Oh,
an
go
echo.
ahead, let's
Sorry.
finish this. I have a question about something else.
Okay, so I was gonna say, yeah, before I do that, I have to renew because they kind of messed up my credit card information. It is really complicated to join the communities. Is there a
Mm.
way to does anybody have an explanation on how to do that? I know we used to have that in our website or something. So that I can use that in the graphic,
Yeah.
something that's simple, that's already written out about how to do that.
Yeah, it is not easy. We're hoping that'll
I
be
wouldn't
taken
worry
care of.
about, Solomon,
Yeah.
I wouldn't worry about a lot of detail. I would just say something about, please be sure to join our freelance community and say something like, if you have any issues, contact membership.
Okay, that solves that problem.
Yeah, that way
And
you're,
I would
you're not
provide
taking
the
on
link,
more than you need to.
to the freelance communities page.
Page?
Yeah,
Okay.
or yeah, I think, let me look into that a little bit too, because I might have to talk, Sergi, you and I might need to get together on this too, to figure this out.
Okay, sounds good.
I'd be interested to see if I was a member of the freelance community. I'm actually not joking about that. So we should probably all check to make sure we are.
Yeah, I had to check and they didn't have
Ru-
my information right, so I gotta repay it.
Yeah, okay. Okay. Ruth, what were you gonna say? What was your question?
In the notes under newsletter,
Yeah,
do we have two Sergeys in the group? There's Sergey Odiduro who's doing membership. Is there a separate, an additional separate person
Yes,
who
this
also
was
uses?
this was the guy who was doing
Okay.
our social media stuff.
Okay, thank you.
yeah, Serhi,
I was
or
about to
Sergi.
get scared, Ruth. I thought I was the original. That was
I
an
was just
original
very
one,
confused because I didn't realize we had another person with a similar name.
Yeah.
They should start a club.
Another thing, Solomon, since you're here and you and I haven't talked much at all this year, but I think that the webinar recordings, the reaching out to Billy, we have to tell Billy, hey, we just had this webinar. We'd like it to be posted. Hazel and I both did this for the last one. And he's got to do whatever he does to get it on. It like has to process and whatever to get it on YouTube. But I feel like it's one of those things that, well, who does that? Whose job is that, right? So I wonder if that's something we can put under the publicity coordinator also. And all it really is just to say, hey, we had a webinar last night, like next week on August 29th, to say we had a webinar last night on podcasting on our Zoom account. Can you get this uploaded? That's it. It's just an email and he'll say, oh yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then ask him to update you or let you know when it's done. And that is just to kind of put that in one person's, because sometimes I think it's like, oh, should I do it because I hosted it? Should I do it because I'm the chair? Or should Susan do this one because she hosted it? And I think sometimes that's getting lost in Lance is the one doing it for the board meetings. Because he's the secretary. So he's doing it for board meetings, but if you could do it for the webinars, that would be great. Do you know Billy O'Keefe? Do you have his email?
No, I've never met him, so I was just gonna ask him to just please send me
Oh,
an email that
I
says
will
this is
send,
Billy
let
O'Keefe.
me, and if
This is what he is.
yep, I'll make a note, and if I forget to do it, let me please just, you know how I love text, Solomon, just text me and I'll do it.
Okay, and then he's expecting me to tell him to ask him this, right? So this won't come
Yeah.
out of the blue
He
every
might not
month. He's
know,
not gonna
he
act
might,
like it's weird every month.
That's okay. Just say I'm the publicity coordinator for the freelance community. Just maybe introduce yourself that way in your first email to them. Just say we had a webinar last night with on this topic. The freelance community had a webinar. Can you get this uploaded to YouTube? And that's all.
Okay, sounds good.
He'll be fine. He's heard from me and probably other board members, Hazel. Several of us have reached out to him. He probably does. He probably is like, how many are there? How many freelance community board
No.
members are there? When we keep emailing them.
I'm more like a Sasquatch or a ghost. Like he's probably heard my name or seen me, but hasn't seen
The
me.
legendary
I
Solomon.
just I have to establish
I'll
my
never be
existence
able
as
to
an
think of
actual
you,
person.
Solomon, without a mental image of the Sasquatch.
Yeah, that sounds like
Listen,
my
guys,
family reunion.
if you all don't need me, I really need to go. Are we about done?
No, we're good. Yeah, we're wrapping up, Ruth. So thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And we'll see you. Well, we'll figure out September's date.
Yeah.
I might not see you.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you. You
All
all
right.
have a
Bye,
good
Ruth. Thanks.
rest of the week, weekend, whatever.
All right. Thank you. You
Thank
too.
you.
Good night.
Okay, so the last thing was just the elections again. We talked about that, but if you want to run again for the same position, if you want to change positions, if you decide, hey, I want to be the secretary, maybe have a conversation with Lance about that first. And if he says, no, I want to be the secretary, well, then it's contested. But it could be that maybe Lance is thinking, oh, I'm sorry to use you, Lance, as an example. I don't mean to, but I'm just saying, like, Lance might say, hey, I want to be the publicity coordinator. I don't know. I don't think those usually change, but if anybody is really wanting to do something different, you could come to me first if you don't feel like saying it to, kind of going into somebody else. I think we did that last year because Solomon was so good at like all the publicity stuff at the conference. We were like, why are we not having him do this? And so we sort of swapped out. We are like, oh, let's have Ginny be vice chair if she's up for that. And Solomon could really run with this new position. We've really created a new position, this publicity coordinator. So
And then I fell off the planet. Like,
we can, you had some, listen, I have fallen off a lot, maybe, I don't know. I'm still trying to hold it all together. I actually am going back to Colorado this week. For the fourth time out there to deal with this event that has changed our lives. So it is a long process. And I know that you've had some issue. I don't know if everybody knows. I don't know if you want to share, Solomon, what happened to you.
oh yeah,
Oh,
can we stop the recording?
Yeah, well, actually, let me stop. Here, we'll put it out in the world. Hold on, let me stop recording. Oh, that's what I wanted to do.